Welcome to the one-week anniversary of the 2008 election. Sort of. Because it's still sort of not over. Which means, yes, we can wallow in the emotional flashbacks created by this theme music and all the pretty columns and everything. Oh, it takes me back. Doesn't it take you back? Chuck Todd is busy trying to have a life post-election, so it's all on me tonight to tell you about what is still undecided and how this stuff so matters to the incoming Barack Obama administration. Here we go. First stop, Georgia, where it is as if last Tuesday never even happened. The race between incumbent Republican Senator Saxby Chambliss and Democrat Jim Martin still has not been won or lost. It has morphed into a runoff because it looks like neither candidate got a majority of the vote on election night. That 50% you see there for Senator Chambliss, that's a rounding thing. It's actually 49.8%. And in Georgia, only an actual majority, an actual plurality, I guess, rules. It's the law. If you don't get 50%, try again. So forget about November 4th in Georgia. That was just practice. Do-over election day there is December 2nd, which means a whole new campaign is underway, complete with ads and stump speeches and rallies and everything. Now, not only is there a critical Senate seat up for grabs here, but a post-election campaign has a funny way of bringing to light who's in charge or who wants to be in charge of each national party and which direction the parties are going. On the Democratic side, it's sort of easy. We all know what the leadership looks like and sounds like there for at least the next 4 years. And sure enough, the president-elect has dispatched some of his own aides to help out with Democrat Jim Martin's campaign. On the Republican side, the post-election characters and tactics, they're looking sort of familiar. Here's what the all-star GOP lineup looks like. Presidential runner-up Senator John McCain is headed to Georgia on Thursday. Also ran Republican and TV star Mike Huckabee will be parachuting in this weekend. And deals are reportedly in the works for appearances by former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani and former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney. It is a Republican primary do-over, in other words. Sarah Palin would be there, except according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, she is talking to the country's Republican governors and also to Wolf Blitzer in Florida this week and skipping Georgia. We'll have more on Palin just a little bit later on. Now, the rest of the Georgia race, it's sort of deja vu. Here's the new Saxby Chambliss attack ad from the National Republican Senatorial Committee, complete with the Republicans' patented "Be afraid of Barack Obama" rinse.
Barack Obama has been elected president.
We're going to be increasing our majorities in the House and in the United States Senate.
If Martin wins, that gets the Democrats that much closer to 60 in the Senate, and at 60, they can do just about anything they want.
Ooh. How about that Gotham City's in trouble Batman music that's playing in the background there? Does the Republican Party really think that Barack Obama as a looming evil specter is the message that the country is prepped and excited to hear right now? Apparently, Georgia Republicans think that is their best strategy. Georgia Congressman Paul Brown told the Associated Press that he is afraid President-elect Obama is possibly both a Nazi and a communist dictator, sort of. Describing Obama's plans to expand the Foreign Service, Brown said, quote, "That's exactly what Hitler did in Nazi Germany. And it's exactly what the Soviet Union did. We can't be lulled into complacency. You have to remember that Adolf Hitler was elected in a democratic Germany. I'm not comparing him to Adolf Hitler. What I'm saying is there is the potential of going down that road," end quote. You know that road. The Barack, Adolf, Obama, Hitler road. You know that road? Congressman Brown has since apologized, kind of. He told a Georgia radio station, quote, "I regret putting it that way. I apologize to anyone who has taken offense at that." Putting it that way is what you regret, really? In Minnesota, there is also an undecided Senate race. As of right now, incumbent Republican Senator Norm Coleman is 206 votes ahead of Democrat Al Franken. There's no more campaigning to do in Minnesota, so you won't see the GOP all-star team stumping there. But the battle is not over there yet either. Instead of wielding negative ads and celebrity coattails, the weapon of choice in a recount is, of course, lawyers. Lawyers who do things like ask judges to stop the recounting. That was Norm Coleman's lawyer strategy over the weekend. So even amid the GOP's identity crisis, the rules of the game still involve working the ref during a tight race. Sounds like, trying to remember. Florida 2000? This is the environment in which the GOP is trying to reinvent itself, and just maybe to figure out how to win again. How will election night or election month or whatever this winds up being turn out? And what's at stake for both parties? Joining us now is Time Magazine contributor Ana Marie Cox. Ana Marie, it's very nice for you to be here in person. Thanks for coming by.
It's great to be here. I loved your little opening skit, I have to say.
Oh, third you very much.
Yes, skit. They're not called that, sorry.
No, I think of it that way sometimes. I just have to make corrections when I'm wrong is the only difference. I first have to ask you, looking at the Be Afraid of Barack Obama ad with Saxby Chambliss, what do you think about the fact that they showed the Democrat who's running against Saxby Chambliss holding a Women for Obama sign? Do you think that was the real message of that ad?
You noticed that too, huh? You wonder if that's supposed to be resonating with any historical problem they have in the South with how they view women and, say, black men. I don't know. I do think that the GOP in the South is a little bit cocky right now. I think, but I also think that's the way that certain people in the McCain campaign felt at the time, which is, hey, we're running against the liberal, we're running against the guy who's backed by the black guy. It shouldn't be a problem for us. But it turned out it was a problem. They had an enormous turnout with African Americans, and now the main challenge for Martin is to get those people to come back to the polls. And in that sense, that's what people say when they say it's the next race or it's the first race of 2010. It's, can Barack Obama get the support that he gathered when he's on the ticket for the people further down the ticket when he's not there?
Well, deciding to go with the Barack Obama is the scary guy meme. And granted, what we played there was a web ad. This is not something that's being broadcast, and so it's the sort of thing that you would have to seek out. It's something that Saxby Chambliss's supporters are more likely to see than the general public. But it does seem like sort of mistaking the temperature, I guess, for how the public feels about Barack Obama right now. He may have seemed scary when McCain was campaigning against him.
Actively trying to make him seem scary.
But now he seems like the president-elect. And now when we think of Barack Obama, the most recent thing we think of is him walking down the colonnade with President Bush. Was it smart for them to carry over that meme? Do you think that when they're talking to their supporters, trying to energize their supporters, it still resonates?
I think they really are trying to work the fear angle, and I think this race could get very, very ugly in the coming weeks and days. I think, however, that one thing we saw with the general election was that Americans are tired of that ugliness. And I also think that to the sense that they have a plan, this is it, right? Scary Barack Obama. Because when you put up that array of Republicans that are going down to help out Chambliss, it's a smorgasbord of republicanism. Right. You know, there's no coherent, thing bringing all those people together. Even McCain and Palin were never on the same page all the time. So if you have Mitt Romney and Giuliani, and Huckabee and McCain, the only thing they have in common is that R next to their name. And I think that is a problem for the GOP right now.
I think it's a surprise for Saxby Chambliss, too. I mean, to have just said, I'll take whatever I can get, give me everybody who's remotely Republican, it sort of seems to me like the way that Republicans sell themselves to the public right now is to sell themselves as the future of the parties, to sell themselves as representing the true Republicanism against the failed old Republicanism. He doesn't seem to be doing that.
That would be, I think, the smart thing to do. And that's why, although Chambliss has said that this is the first race of 2010, it actually looks to me more like the last race of 2004 or 2006, when there's a really failed strategy coming forward. And I have to say also that, it's going to be, even if they're close, this is a win in some ways for the Democrats. I mean, when you think about how Martin, this is his fourth time on the ballot. There was already a runoff in the Democratic primary. So for the Democrats to have this strong a showing, we're looking forward to there actually being a structure for the Democrats to build on in Georgia, which in and of itself is news.
If you had to bet on a leader to be the new Republican standard bearer, and I guess I don't specifically mean who's going to be RNC chair, who's going to be the roster of 012, is that what you call it, 2012 candidates? But if you had to pick somebody who's going to really emerge the best from this current scrum for leadership, who would you bet on?
Well, the person I'd bet on is not someone who I would pick if I were a Republican, because I'm not a Republican, but I think that Mitt Romney is going to put on a really good show for everyone. I think that he is, if nothing else, a fast learner. He's an incredible entrepreneur, and that's what the party's for is looking right now, someone who can bring in new ideas, someone who's disciplined, and also he has a credible case to make that he's not an old-fashioned Republican. If that's only the case he would have made in the primaries, that he's a problem solver, that he's moderate on social issues, that he's willing to reach across the aisle and solve problems just as they need to be solved, which is what he did with health care in Massachusetts. If he can make that argument and say, oh, that social conservative you thought I was, it was something I ate, you know? Especially if he can win over someone like Schwarzenegger, for instance, who already has that, but can't be a party leader for lots of different reasons, including the fact he's not an American citizen, or, I'm sorry, wasn't born in America. I think that Mitt Romney really could do well. He also, he memorizes scripts very well as well.
And, you know, he has taken the first steps toward real serious candidacy, I think, by saying he doesn't want to run for office again. Exactly. Which, of course, is the first sign of seriousness that you want to run.
That's right.
Ana Marie Cox, Time Magazine contributor. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here.
Wonderful to be here.